Hello and welcome to this camera surface model project part 3, making the aluminium lens case. So we've made the main part of our body and now we're going to start to put the lens in place. Today we're learning to practice the use of the extrude tool, but we're going to introduce two new functions, the taper function and the new body function. We're going to add a chamfered edge to elements of our design, giving it a 45-degree angle. And we are going to apply material finishes to different bodies so that we're going to be able to start telling the difference between the lens casing and the main body of the camera. So here we've got the main body of the camera and we're going to start to put the lens on. So I'm going to select this front face and I'm going to create a new sketch. And just to line this up, I'm just going to use the fit tool down at the bottom to put it into the center of the screen. I'm now going to activate the original camera photo like so. I'm now going to select the 2-point circle tool from the sketch toolbar at the top. I'm then going to click on the first point of the circle on this tangent here, and then I'm going to copy the circle on the opposite tangent. Once that's done, I can finish the sketch. I'm going to move into a 3-dimensional view. And I'm going to activate the plan canvas. I can now select the circle and I'm going to extrude the circle using the plan canvas as a visual reference. I need to take it out about 1 millimeter, and now I'm going to go to the taper tool in the options and I'm going to click on -45 degrees. You can see that I can go and take an external angle or an internal angle, and in this case I want an internal angle. Once I'm happy with the angle, I can click on OK and the shape has been extruded. Now for the next part of the lens casing. I'm going to select the top of the circular disc I've just made. I'm going to create a new sketch, and again I'm going to activate the front canvas as a visual reference. This time though I'm going to use the center diameter tool to draw my circle, because it's much more important to me that the circles on the model line up rather than matching the photograph. So I'm going to find the center of the circle that I originally drew, and then I'm just going to take the circle out to the outer edge of the aluminium lens casing. Once I've done that, I can click on finish sketch, and I'm going to use the extrude tool again. Again, I'm using the plan canvas as a visual reference, and I'm bringing the shape out by about 1 millimeter, and I'm going to apply a chamfer. I'm going to apply a tapered edge to it again of about 45 degrees. This time though, I want to change it down at the bottom, and I want to create a new body. So this is going to, although it's one solid object, it is going to allow me to distinguish between this part and the rest of the model, which is going to come in handy later on. So I've got one last part of the aluminium casing to to add, and I'm going to pretty much use the same technique as I've just done. The only difference is going to be this time that I'm going to use 2 sketch elements to make a ring shape as opposed to making a solid cylinder, and I'll show you how to do that. So again, I'm going to select the plane, I'm going to create a new sketch, and I'm going to use the canvas to help me get the size of the first circle correct. I've made a little mistake here. I've made the circle a little bit too big, but that's okay. I can just simply undo the circle and redo the circle at the right size. Now I can add a second circle from the center. I can finish the sketch, and when I go to extrude, I'll be able to select just that ring, not the internal part of the circle, and then I can extrude that upwards using the plan view canvas as a reference again. Watch that I'm going to go all the way to the top here, because I'm going to put the angle in using a chamfer in a minute. There was no need to create a new part because this is joined on to the other part, which means again I can distinguish it from the main body, but there's no need for me to distinguish it from the other part of the aluminium casing. Now to apply the chamfer, which is in the modify tools up at the top, and I'm going to select the outside ring, and I'm just going to put a 1mm chamfer on there. And you can see all that's going to do is it's going to cut that edge off at a 45-degree angle, 1mm deep into the outside edge. So the only thing left for me to do now is to start applying material finishes. This is going to allow me to check that I've set up my bodies correctly, but it's also going to allow me to start to look at what the final product will look like. Okay, so I'm going to go into modify, material finishes, and you can see my materials appear in a library. So I'm going to select my material for my main body, and I'm just going to hover over the main body, and you can see that change to a shade of black. I'm now going to open up the metals folder. I'm going to find aluminium, and again I'm just going to drag and drop onto the casing. And you can see straight away that I've got my parts and my bodies all sorted and they're correct. In the next part of the project, I'm going to set up the lens and the focal point for the lens, but let's just recap some of the things that we've learned today. So here's some points to remember. Firstly, don't forget that a taper will allow you to extrude with an internal or an external angle. A chamfer will make a 45-degree cut through a single edge, and that bodies are separate parts of the same model and can have different finishes applied to them. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.